watched, and I want to share a little bit with this group how we consider ourselves parts of the third sector to find the correct tuning in this area. We are part of the orchestra, and we want to play our instruments. Since the movement of innovation is coming to the third sector, and these principles and methodologies are not incorporated in our daily life, I'm going to ask Gustavo, who's up there, because I want to show you an app that our foundation is developing and invite you to collaborate with this app. I would also like to bring back what the meaning of the third sector. Since the audience here, who here finds themselves being part of this third sector? Do you know how many we are currently? 290,000 non-profit social organizations in Brazil since the last IBGE census. And we've gone through so many things as movement. Back then, we helped the country to re-democratize. We went through a process about formalization that the state could not do. We went through a financial crisis with international all the foreign investments leaving the country, and now we are rewriting our history as a movement with the impact of the internet, just before internet, and now with the impact of all the technologies. And what does that mean for us? What does it mean to be a social organization in a connected world? Which practices do we need to review to be connected to this world? And there at Telefônica Foundation, where I work, we found out that several of our actions came to a limit. We cannot solve some certain problems. They are very complex problems that we cannot do it with projects or politically. The world is liquid. The reality puts together and disassembles very fast. So we were asking ourselves, how can we actually work with this future and work towards a desirable future together with, in line with Lala mentioned yesterday. And how can we reach this desirable future? And we, not being able to control this. And when I'm talking about this, I was thinking about the moment the city of São Paulo is going through, because we might run out of water. How come can a city with the size of São Paulo, where we did not have a drought, how come did it come to this point? We are running out of water. How about planning? So this question came to us. We came to a new way of planning, and it's a manner that does not look back. It looks forward. The idea is that we build scenarios and possible visions and go after them. So it is a planning based on futurism, a technology that several companies use, cinema uses, and the third sector can start learning how to use it. So the idea is to have better decisions, get them right in the present to build our future. And then we worked with other partners like Synetics, and we created this app. You can see it. Now, at the end of the day, at 7:30 in the evening, we are going to hold a workshop will teach us how to use futurism in planning. But I want to show you the end of this planning here, our final results. We mapped trends, and on top of these trends, we built possible, likely scenarios. The volunteerism scenario was not chosen at random. This is neologism. We put together voluntary work with activism. Why do we think people, in the end, people will see voluntarists more than voluntary and activists, but voluntarists? Here, we can see the mapped trends organized in macro trends and smaller trends. And here, I can choose power decentralization. And when we choose this, we mapped several initiatives that are here. They are not only initiatives from abroad, but they are from Brazil as well. There are names that are here since yesterday. This tool will be made available, and I'll give you the address in a moment. I won't go into detail here now. We don't have enough time for that. But based on this mapping, we built together a video about the future, and we'll present it now. Visions of Future plus 15. Voluntism. The digital means gets broadened. Be unconnected is nearly impossible because each object is connected 24 hours to the digital network. The plug-in digital of things becomes the epicenter of an unprecedented revolution. The crowds are called the new artificial brain of the world, and society starts gaining awareness of the consequences of their acts. Parallel to this movement, we have a new group of digital citizens that can talk and dialogue in this area and work as active cells in society, meaning the voluntary work, and creating the voluntivism era. I remember the time when I used access the time with a bit of skepticism. We talked as if nothing was happening, but we knew that the behavior of everyone was exposed on the web. So now we could not hide our actions. The fact that we cannot disconnect from the network, it's obliquous. Now, not only trial and error, but our capacity to dialogue. We didn't know at the moment, but we knew that we were going through a period of a lot of intolerance in the networks, and that we had a lot of pressure, and we had the digital suicide. Time has passed, and we learned with our errors. A new generation started sharing the digital ways with us. It's amazing how they would integrate in the network in a completely different way from the previous generation. They still complained and gossiped and shared things that were, useless, but they knew how to use the web in a more aware manner. Some people said they were like that because they came from an education that was completely inserted in this digital model. They gave the kickoff on voluntivism. They decided to start doing this and solve the mess we made, and started using the web to solve a few small problems that were restricting people's lives. And they became this brain of the world, solving things that seemed to be unsolvable. And then they started create the mental balance of the cyberspace. The real actions of change went to the streets, and then it came to the municipalities and neighborhoods and went viral all over the country. And then in the end, nobody could say that this voluntivism movement was just a new trend, but it was actually raising awareness to citizenship. Now we are all active citizens. There is no difference between analogic and digital. And we understood that the use of free will and practicing our rights, social and political needs as well. We now work with citizenship, and we have collective awareness of our acts. More than that, we now are fighting the bad habits and act on them. It took a long time, but we really had the first time of first digital elections in the world. I hope that my neighbor can be elected next time.
So this was the scenario that we created from all these hints that we saw. So we prospected 15 years, so now we want a scenario in which technology has a main role, and then later we'll explain to you how this tool will work. The address is fundaçãotelefônica.org.br/tendências 15. I don't know who would like to start. Would you like to start? How is Laço Rosa thinking about this? Integration with the network, sponsorship. How are you working on this important disruptive moment? Good afternoon, beautiful audience. Good afternoon to my colleagues up here, our panelists. I'd like to ask a question to our audience and then talk a little bit about Fundação Laço Rosa. I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you have a contact that has already had breast cancer or cancer in general? See, unfortunately, this is a disease that is knocking on our door, specifically in the case of Foundation Laço Rosa. It came through my little sister. She was pregnant of her first baby, and then she had that disease. Internet was really present in our lives, and we saw at that moment that we had a gap, and we wanted to fill in that gap. You can't just have cancer and look at that at random. You want to be part of the transformation if you have that experience, or maybe just pass and look at the landscape. We decided, my family, we decided that we wanted to be part of this. And so we started Fundação Laço Rosa. It was born in a very, very digital way. We didn't want to be an assistentialist institution because there are many already doing that, and they do it in a very good way. We wanted to communicate with everybody. We wanted to communicate with people that had the same problem. So we used the network and we created our first program, which is the bank of wigs online. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We donate wigs to women that have any kind of cancer. These patients receive a little bit of more of a self-esteem and solidarity and a lot of information. I think that information is what we have in our hands, which is the best, and that will make the difference. I'd like to share with you a video that talks a little bit about that. Hi, I'm Dr. Manu. I'm a specialist in breast cancer, and I will teach you now how you do your self-exam. It's a kind of care that can help you to identify this kind of cancer. First of all, stand up, facing the mirror, with your arms down. Observe if your breasts have the same shape and the same size and color. Be attentive to some alterations in your skin, some swellings or some distortions. And then put your arms up and down 3 times. See if when you do that movement, you notice some alterations, some changes in the contour of your breasts. When you finish, put your hands around your hips and do a little bit of pressure, make a little bit of pressure. And keep attentive to some alterations that you might see in your breasts. And now the last part of the breast self-exam. Lay down and put a pillow on your back. Put your left arm up behind your head, and with your right hand, touch your breast with the tip of your fingers in a circular way, going from the out part to the center of your breast. And then do horizontal movements and vertical movements. And after that, press your nipple gently and see if there is some secretion coming out of it. To finish, put your arms down and touch your armpits and do the same thing on the other side. You have to do that during the shower too, because when your hands have soap, your sensitivity is increased. So you should have healthy habits and do your self-exam right after your menstrual period. Women that are already in the menopause, they have to do it at the same day of the month, every month. It's important to highlight that does not replace a visit to your gynecologist and not even breast exam. So you decide how much you want to pay. You can tweet for this visit, or you can share this on Facebook, so then more people can see me. Or maybe you can make a endowment to Laço Rosa, or maybe you can do the three of above. A pink kiss to all of you. Laço Rosa Foundation. Inside you, nothing is bigger than life. So this is the way we connect. See, we use the networks, social networks, to talk with this generation that is out there, and then we can disseminate our message. So it's an organization, it's a very connected organization with volunteerists. Very cool, your work, Marcelle. Pedro. So how is Teto reinventing itself? Is this an issue? How do you see the new technologies and methodologies?
First of all, good afternoon to all of you. For those who don't know Teto or didn't know Teto, is a civil organization that was born in Chile in 1997, and now it's in 19 countries, working to overcome poverty. We work with very poor settlements on slums, working with these people in a horizontal manner, developing several projects of local development. With the advent of technologies, new medias, and so on, it is more of the same, actually, but it's a bit different. We know that it is like everybody now produces content. You don't have a channel where you speak. It's a channel where you dialogue. And we're trying to make this dialogue will not stop in the communication team, that this conversation will serve as a diagnosis, as the guidelines for our work. So we are now in the moment of closing planning for 2015, 2016. And a great part of the information that we have is from this conversation we have with our audiences. I think that as well as listening to them, seeing numbers and metrics and understanding what's happening, we are trying to, as simple as possible, in the essence of this technology and digital environment, trying to do this in the more impacting manner. So we use our channels to raise awareness, to speak up. And like cancer, people don't like talking about cancer. They don't like talking about poverty either. I am accountable for, I am responsible for overcoming poverty. And everyone should have that role, really. Which we've been trying to work a lot to understand this exchange. And it's very nice. I mean, I don't have enough information yet, but I see great movement. Yesterday, some people were criticizing me because of the question I asked on Twitter. For those guys who are here, Pedro Marcun answered very bad, no, the outskirts is connected. The poor areas, the outskirts of the city are connected, but how trained are they to be able to use these tools? We can see there is a lot lacking yet. And from our work philosophy, we listen to the community and addressing the priorities they have, their problems, their priorities, and social inclusion right now is far from being their topic. If they don't have basic sanitation, access to water, power, and correct housing, digital inclusion will come much later. So just bringing an example here, not taking too much of your time, I'd like to show you a video of a campaign we did. Like simple actions can have great impacts in social causes. 16 million of Brazilian people still don't have basic sanitation. How can we call attention of this problem and show that this problem is closer to us than we imagine? Invisgram. Problems that nobody see. The reality of communities in the Instagram of celebrities. How is it going to work? We're going to invite famous people to share one day their Instagram to give visibility to this cause. In these 24 hours, all the pictures will be taken by one poor area, somebody who lives in poor area, like in Rio, for example. On the hot side, people will be able to see all the pictures posted in this project, and you have to know more about Teto and make a donation. With Invisigram, we are going to show millions of followers that live in extreme poverty, misery, is very close, too close for you to be indifferent. Teto. Just to wrap up, let me share a bit about this campaign. We would have 12 famous people. We managed to persuade them to do this. We had 28 famous people. It was a very simple campaign. You would go to a guy that does not have any time, and you probably would receive like millions of invitations from NGOs to go to a studio to play something and say, I only need your password from your Instagram. You know, Mr. John or Mary will do this, trust us. It wouldn't impact in time and money, and they were even, uncomfortable to say no. So we brought impact to 15 million people. We gained 15,000 reals, more than that, with a very simple idea and a simple thing. Very good. I like the Invisigram idea. It's a very, very good solution. I'd like to invite Fernando now, how Instituto Elos is at the moment with this methodology and the way to operate in this world as a connected, networked organization has been impacting the Institute.
I want to thank everybody to be at this panel. I am a volunteer for Teto since 2008. I've learned a lot. In Laço, Rosa, also, I had a great conversation with Marcelle yesterday in the technology working. My grandfather is already registered, and I want to receive my basket at home. He will. Elos is an organization that was born in Santos, and it's 15 years old to work with community social development. And what drives Elos today is a methodology to make collective dreams come true and also a citizenship mobilization. So all the products and the services of Institute Elos, we did the technology focused on that. There are 7 steps to see. I lost the steps. He said about some celebration and vision. So we believe that we can build up the best of the worlds. We're very connected, and everybody that belongs to the community, I'm sure there's a lot of people watching us here. Elos' purpose is really nice. It's clear to us. Our main technology used by us is offline. We need, relationship is our technology, because if you talk about dreams, the digital media does not help, So we need to use this personal relationship. It's a bond between a neighbor and another neighbor that didn't know, and then they make bonds in order to make their dreams longer and long-lasting. So we want to stimulate the movement to make the world that we all dream, to make it happen now. Just being here today in this seminar, we are already simulating this to start working because we have this urgency, right? And Elos, we created a program that fosters this, tells us to disseminate this methodology, this tool of realizing the dreams of everybody. So you put 60 young. You cannot say young. Remember, you cannot say young because if you say young people, it sounds like I'm old. 60 people that are out there and they have this urge to make things happen. They need a new tool, but they will spend 30 days together in the program, Warriors Without Weapons, and then go home and replicate that so that they have touch with other methodologies. And the important thing is this experience, this group experience. So we have this selective program of guerreiros. Is that we need that because of the technology, because biggest part of guerreiros is just mouth to mouth. You know, one warrior talks to another warrior and this and that. And some warriors will be warriors in 2015. So the Caminho do Sim, it's a game, it's an online game, real life. Caminho do Sim means the yes path. Many tasks that people answer on the web simultaneously, people from all over the world, in building networks among them and bonds for the next actions and actions. So we are creating a platform now, single environment, to gather all the participants. So before it was blog by blog, and we thought that was too difficult to do it by blog. So now we're promoting spaces to have make people trust others more. So then we can also control that and evaluate the way of that. So if you want to talk about Guerreiros or even ASAS or Elos Institute, I'm here. The foundation has already worked. There was a volunteers day. We worked with the Elos Institute. So you guys have a great way to engage people in the community, and it impacted me. Vanessa, do we have questions already? Yeah, you're already there. Yes, we have. Yes, right? Well, first of all, thanks for your work. Beautiful panel. I know Teto. I've known Teto for a long time. Laço, Rosa. I know your work too. On the web, people shared the videos that you guys showed. Conversation was about the activism and how to use the tools. And we have a question. Question it comes from Bookshare. It's a kind of controversial question. I want to hear your opinions. 290,000 non-governmental organizations. Is this an opportunity, or it means that our government is not efficient enough? I don't want to judge anybody. I don't believe that there is a government that is capable of solving all the problems. If it was like that, we wouldn't have imbalance in some countries, and we do have, you know? I think there is room for it. This is part of a healthy democracy. It's nice that we have a strong social movement that can build together and be opposed, to the government. So I see, well, that's great that we have 290,000 non-governmental organizations. That's great. It would be great if they could do even better and help the government to do things. See, we have examples here, yesterday and today. We have been watching this. The other day I posted something on Facebook and I placed a challenge to my friends. I said, let's make one positive post per day, because lately it's been hard, right? The social networks are not so positive. And then Luis said yesterday, hey, today we have material for 1,000 positive posts a day. So I think this is really healthy, and it's a collaborative action.
I think there is a little bit of both and many other things involved here. I think that, well, I feel very sad and I feel even angry when people say the government, the system. It's like Big Brother. They forget that the government is made by people who studied in the same educational system that we did and live in the same society that we do. So if the government has a problem, it's our problem as well. We caused this problem as well. And I think that 290,000 organizations working to fix these problems or creating new solutions is magical, actually. It's beautiful. Actually, it's little, but I think it's great that they are there. So, delegating problems, our responsibility is the worst thing we can possibly do. I think government does have accountability. They need to do many things. There are several initiatives here for popular press, Meu Rio, Coab. They do this bridge between civil and government, but we cannot forget our duties. And we share this with our volunteers. You have a duty to work for a fairer society. Not only the president of the country or the governor or the mayor or the secretary, ministers, you as a citizen, as a civil person, you in the publicity agency work, in the hospital you work at, we need to work for a fairer world. In our case, we work a lot with social equality. We talked a lot about this yesterday, Marcelle and I, about politics, pressure, public power. They do have their responsibility for sure, but we need to, if we just delegate the problem, then we are making a huge mistake from the very beginning. I think 290 NGOs show how society can be participatory. And it's what Pedro was saying. We cannot just say the problem belongs to the government. We voted for them. We put them there. So somehow we participate of this political process as well. And we are also accountable for transforming what's not good. And blaming the government without sitting down and talking about it is not a solution. There are several city administrations that are willing to sit down with social organizations and help them. It's a two-way thing. This number should be 3 times as much. It would be great if it's like that. But for me, this shows that it's a society which is more aware of its transformative power. Fernando, I would like to add here, I think that different sectors, we create and develop skills. Government, second sector, first sector, third sector, we develop some abilities, and we don't need to have all of them. There is an issue that we have in the third sector overall, which is cooperation among organizations. We don't see each other as competitors. We see each other as people that can help each other. So 290,000 are building something that is spectacular, something that is meaningful for us. We need to cooperate with each other and understand my ability, my skill as third sector. When I go to the government and work with them, I will be able to bring this skill that perhaps they developed another skill. And then I think we can cooperate with each other. This is the line I go through, abundance. Any more questions? For Pedro, how the maintenance for houses after 5 years that the people that were contemplated by the project receive? Let me just say something, which is an identity crisis. If you want to help with us, we need a lot of help here. Teto is not an NGO that builds houses. We are not an NGO that works with housing only. Our proposal is to overcome extreme poverty in the world. So a house will not solve these problems. The house is social technology for mobilization. and creating links with the community. So to build this house, we work 3 months before with the families and the communities, where we try to mobilize not only the families which we were going to be working with and will be living in the houses, but the neighbors, the guy that lives in the back street, so that in the long term generate this mobilization and be able to develop other types of projects. Regarding the maintenance, the house takes about 5 to 7 years. We have an internal team that try to solve solutions. Will make that wood and the materials of the house will last longer. And then architects and engineers that have specific knowledge on this. We have also a partnership with the Cambridge University from England, also envisioning to have more sustainable and long-lasting projects. But the house role is not a final solution. Within this time, the family will be able to go and find better solutions for other aspects in their life that they need to improve their quality of life. So the house is built, it's built on purpose not to last forever or 10, 15, 30 years, so that we mobilize the people. Look, we are together with you building a house, but it won't last. It won't last much. It's not the final solution, so that this family will keep on working to be able to develop even more. Great. Any other questions? Vanildo wants to know if any of you know the amount invested in the third sector in Brazil. I don't know. Does anybody know? I think that the GIF site, we might be able to get this information. So, Givanildo, if you want to look for me, touch Twitter. I think that there we can, it's at Santim. A lot of investment, but not enough for us to solve all the problems we would like to solve.
I have a question myself. How do you do to make these actions, the communication actions with so little resources and not a lot of labor? I worked in the third sector for Voluntários em Ação and the other social good, and we know how hard it is to put these actions in practice because we have scarce resources, not much help. How can you talk about it so then you may inspire other NGOs? Well, knocking people's doors, being brave with, elegant, with a little hat in your hands, ask. Knock at people's doors and ask and ask. And then this little film that we saw was the first advertising film done by FNASC. FNASC is one great advertising agency of Brazil. No, we don't have money to be a client of FNASC, but we went there, and we were adopted by FNASC. You know what I mean? So specifically, communication, the foundation counts not only with FNASC advertising agency, but also with Approach Communications, which does our press accessory. There's no recipe for the cake. When you do a work that it's clear, it's transparent, it's honest, and you have focus, and you have very clear missions, just go and knock people's doors. Knock on the doors, and one moment they're gonna open to you. I don't want to sound very poetic, but actually, being poetic, there's a purpose, and then from this, things happens. So you have a purpose, if you have a goal, and if you can capture volunteers that are good designers, because of course you wouldn't have money to pay for their work, but if he sees that and they go, you know what, I'm going to donate a few hours to do this, good social medias, good PRs, just good people. So it starts internally. And then for the NGOs that don't have a communication team, it's so key. You have to have your cause, you have to have the financial administrative department, and you have to have a communication team. A lot of people want to help, right, Pedro? There is a lot of people want to help. So then you go and then you knock on people's doors. By doing that, we got 2 important partnerships from the communication market. Our advertising agencies, Young and Rubicon, and Burson Marsteller. Burson Marsteller is a great PR company, and they say, "Oh, look at Pedro talking about, this." Just to show you how important they are. They are part of this transformation. The question started with how are we adapting to these new trends, right? And this is a message to the corporate sector. They have to follow the trends of the third section. Otherwise, they will fail too, because it's the way we're doing this in a more sustainable way. I mean, it's impossible if the corporations don't adapt to these causes, just like FNASCA did and Burson and Young did, using their intelligence and their technologies, and Fundação, Telefônica, and so many others. I mean, if they don't find out that it's not cute, it's necessary to embrace that case, so then things won't go the way we need. Just back to the question is, if you have a purpose, a clear purpose, you can engage, you're able to engage people, and you can learn and do it better. I'm with him in the purpose thing. I think the resource is abundant. There's a lot of available resources, you guys. I mean, we have to create strategies, knock on doors, have a purpose, look for partners. But a model that we have, it's like to make it happen. You know what I mean? To be connected. Does it make sense? Does Elos, if this movement, these partners that are with us, they are helping us to make things happen, for this world that we dream to happen now. So just let's do it. First, we make it happen, and then we think about it. We make it happen, and then we think about it. And just to complement a little bit, so if there are any advertising agencies here that like to talk about the client, we are looking for one to work with us as partners. So actually, I took the opportunity to invite. Pachi, there's a last question I can't forget. Sabrina made this question. What is, Edgar, how tall are you? Edgar, how tall are you? 1 meter 98 centimeter. But there's a margin, like a margin mistake? No. Impossible. I stand 194. Edgar, I think you're taller. Edgar, come here. Come up here. While Edgar is coming, we have 4 minutes, and I'd like to do wrap up.
A lot of what we discussed only reinforces how the world is changing and the speed in which it's changing. And the third sector, the first, the second, all will have to adapt to these changes. And I think that the trend is that companies which are smaller organizations, specific causes like Laço, Rosa, like you guys here presented, and work in a connected fashion with all the other social organizations. And on the web, now the video reminds me of Beth Kunter's book that talks about connected networked social organizations, and this reflects on how this organization is physically in the hierarchy, and it is a change that there is no way back. The change is for companies as well, and it means a change for Telefônica Vivo and Telefônica Foundation. The way we are trying to reinvent itself is to project this future and build the desired future. What role these entrepreneurial companies have, the government has, and so on. And I believe about the feeling and the purpose. And as a private foundation, I can share here that it's very bad when people come with us as only if we were like a money bag. Yesterday, I thought about talking about this. Companies as Telefônica and others, but the others that haven't realized yet, they are not Uncle Donald, they have to build propositions together, co-create, and not only give money. So though this grounding moment of co-creation, so we are not Uncle Donald's safe. So it is very difficult to sustain ourselves. We are trying to find other ways of capturing goals, talking like a private enterprise. Engage us in your dream. We are also part of your dream and your solution. We also have expertise in the topics. So it is, this relationship is a two-way relationship. And I think it's good to reflect upon this because sometimes it happens. I feel that we are making progress in this topic, so it's an important part. Would you like to make a final remark? When I meant like knocking on people's doors, this is not easy. This demands study and planning. It's not like going there with your goodwill. When you engage a company, to have these partners connected with you, dreaming your own dream, you need to have, something to offer. It needs to be professional and real. Our time is up. I would like to thank you, all of you that are here. Thanks to the audience for those who sent questions. And soon we're going to have the workshop on how using futurism on social planning. Thank you very much.